For so many years I had heard reports of a mysterious 9th or 10th planet in deep space, if you still count Pluto as a planet, commonly referred to as Planet X or Nibiru, var.Nibiru meaning the bright star of the crossing. Mainstream scientists and government agencies were quick to dismiss the possibility of this unknown planet as sheer quackery. But due to some recent findings, those same scientists are now having to eat a little crow. The new evidence comes from a pair of respected planetary scientists, Konstantin Batijan and Mike Brown of the California Institute of Technology, Caltech, in Pasadena, who prepared for the inevitable skepticism with detailed analyses of the orbits of other distant objects and months of computer simulations. Their findings point to data that something bigger than the size of Earth lurks in our outer solar system and its gravitational pull is affecting other planets and ultimately Earth weather. If you say, "We have evidence for Planet X," almost any astronomer will say, "This again. These guys are clearly crazy." I would, too, Brown says. Why is this different? This is different because this time we're right. But without being able to clearly see this mysterious Planet X through a telescope, will the rest of the scientific community believe them? This blog is not another science article. I'll leave that to the experts. I was more curious if, indeed, anything was out there and why so many countries in the world had suddenly started building large telescopes about 10 years ago to view our outer solar system. Even the Vatican invested in 2 large telescopes, one named Lucifer. Did they know something they weren't telling us? Were they taking seriously the biblical prophecies about the 3,600-year return of the planet called Wormwood aka Planet X? This celestial star was said to have caused the pole shift that brought about the Great Flood and destroyed many civilizations as well as the dinosaurs centuries ago. As a sometime remote viewer, who learned the art from Russell Targ who, along with Hal Puthoff, RIR 130203 headed up the Stanford Research Institute's SRI, remote viewing program for the CIA's Stargate project, I knew it was time to take a look at Planet X for myself. In the past few years I've discovered some rather unexplainable and unusual objects in space while remote viewing that are clearly not ours. Read Stargate Journeys and Consciousness-Assisted Technology blogs. Sometimes you get a treasure trove of info and sometimes nothing. It was worth a shot, so I sat down, meditated and sent my mind to the outer reaches of space looking for answers to the great mystery of Planet X. What did I find? Well, there is indeed a very large object out there. It's not a planet, but it looks and behaves much like a planet. I felt immediately dizzy-headed upon approaching it. There is a magnetic gravitational flux that feels both expelling and contracting at the same time. I'll let the scientists figure out what this all means, but there is also a deep resonant sound vibration you can feel, which made me aware that this planet-like object felt both alive and teeming internally with life. Sometimes when remote viewing with your mind, there is an all-knowing feeling. Telepathic awareness kicks in. I knew then that the object was really a mammoth planetary space vehicle, despite its outward barren appearance. While this totally surprised me, it also sparked my intense interest. I zeroed in on its interior. It was hollowed out, vast, beyond the size of several large cities and multi-layered. I found myself inexplicably drawn to a large chamber where I saw giant human-like beings 12-15 feet in stature. Several of these beings had red hair. I was aware that I had poked in during a rather heated discussion. Immediately I felt a sudden sharp mental push as if I had been discovered and psychically kicked out. But the odd thing is that whoever had mentally pushed me out, had left a mental imprint behind that contained a myriad of images and thoughts which I was able to glean some information from. Planet X is not a Galactic Federation spaceship, as might be seen in a Star Wars movie. I got a strong no when I mentally inquired. This is an ancestor ship. I call it this because this race of beings inside have been around longer than prehistoric man on Earth and they are not strangers to our planet. They know all about us and once walked our lands. I got the impression that they don't think very highly of us. Despite this, there appears to be factions of their race that are in disagreement about the best way to interact with Earth humans. The interesting thing is that they find themselves in a dilemma. Many of their kind see us as a threat to their survival, much as we would see them to ours. They, like us, are also on an evolutionary path with regard to service to self versus service to others. There are those of their race that want to help us while others want to destroy us to save themselves. It's clearly a karmic dilemma, and it appears we on Earth are going through the same soul learning process. This is why our paths are destined to intersect. It appears that their planet-like spaceship somehow got locked into a strange orbit, due to an explosion with some other planet a very long time ago, that doesn't always allow full control of their vehicle's trajectory. As their orbit comes closer to Earth, they know they will be bombarded by the same gravitational pull that Earth is bound to also experience by coming into close proximity to them. Some on board fear annihilation unless they take aggressive action. Others disagree. While they appear to have smaller space vehicles that can exit their planetary vehicle at any time, they don't want to be trapped on Earth. Sound fantastic? I thought so, too, but these are the impressions I received. Whether they are accurate, is yet to be determined. I encourage other remote viewers to see what they pick up as well. Who really knows if our two worlds will eventually collide? So many have predicted this would happen in 2003, then again in 2012, and now in 2016. It hasn't happened yet, and perhaps it never will, but awareness that we are not alone in the universe is definitely increasing. The visibility of Planet X will eventually be evident in the skies to all, in time, as it orbits closer. Some believe this is why the CIA recently released some of their UFO files, preparing for disclosure. Perhaps Planet X's ultimate purpose in revealing itself is to awaken us to our true past. The future is still being written, so I will not get into spreading additional fear about what will or will not occur. There's enough fear in the world already, and even if we were on a crash course with Planet X, not much either side can do about it, so just enjoy life now. What I find more fascinating is that it appears these beings brought early life to this planet. They are our ancestors. Are they the Anunnaki race the ancient Sumerian texts refer as the celestial gods from the sky who were masters of DNA and genetic manipulation? Planet X was once big news in the mainstream media in the early 1980s, then suddenly all mention of it disappeared. Those who mentioned it were quickly ridiculed, which tells us they must have been too close to the truth. I like to think that everything in the universe is subject to change, and everything is right on schedule. Now, at last, appears to be the right time to take a second look at Planet X.